Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Gainy Titan, and I have a question for you people. I think there's enough of you there now to start answering some questions, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. But basically, what do you people think of the recent experimentation that Wargaming has been carrying out with the mechanics of World of Tanks? Essentially, the +1, -1 matchmaking that they carried out a couple weeks ago, and the recent 0 RNG, less RNG on the damage that they just finished. I'd love to know what people think. Do they think it was a success? Do they think it would it should be the norm? Both, one, other, and stuff like that. Anyway, I'd just like to know what people think. The other thing is that I thought I'd do a kind of a progress report on my grind as it stands. So I've been grinding the VK2801, as you can see here. Not having great success in games. Partly, what do I say? It's, in my opinion, it's actually fun enough, but it's not. At least, I can't make it successful sort of as a knife fighting light tank. I don't think it has the DPM or the effective DPM. The gun bounces quite a bit, and it's not quite fast enough. You know, some of the other light tanks you can sort of do kind of drive-by shooting at the late game and things like that if you preserve the tank. This thing doesn't get away with it. Now, it doesn't help that I keep driving into things, including driving into the tanks that I'm targeting, which doesn't always help. And the game as it stands is very hostile, shall we say, to scouting type gameplay. Simply because most of the maps are either urban, there's a lot of urban maps, or they're maps that just don't really permit scouting. Like Overlord isn't actually a good scouting map, because it's actually relatively, you're in contact pretty quickly. There's no place that you can hide and spot tanks. If you're in a position to spot tanks, you're in the action. And you're shooting tanks, and you're being shot back at by tanks. So that sort of thing happens quite a lot in the current meta in World of Tanks. And then the other thing is that when you are on maps where scouting is possible, a lot of the time people won't shoot the tanks that you light up. They're either not in position, or they just simply can't shoot. I mean, the amount of games in the last couple of months where one team or other has collapsed, and quite frequently collapsed where they actually outnumber their enemies, and when you go to the end of the game, you look at it and you realise that the team that lost, they actually don't have a lot of 0-0-0 players in the team, but they have an awful lot of the players with 1 or 2. There I go, but driving into my targets, because I'm not paying enough attention to what I'm doing. But anyway, as I was saying, an awful lot of games where the team just shoots twice and dies. The 40 TP is a bit painful. The tank actually gets better as it goes along, simply because the guns get better. But by God, is it slow. I mean, I think it's the mobility is the real problem. If you can get the tank into a position where you can shoot the enemy and make the gun work, then you can have a decent game in it. But if you pick the wrong direction, and it's particularly maps, I spent the whole game recently on, what was it? Great Wall, chasing the battle. Uphill and down dale, and by the time I arrived it was over, and there was like, all of my team was dead, and there was like 10 enemy tanks alive. They were all there together as well. when I caught up with it. Yeah, the slowness is a real problem. Actually, I think the final gun is pretty decent, but the slowness of the tank is a real issue. And finally, there's this thing. This thing turns into a bit of a monster. The real thing about this tank is the final gun. You have a 75mm gun all the way. The penetration goes up with each iteration of the gun, and you finish up with this 3-shot autoloader. And it is both the glory and the bane of this tank, because it's the glory because it's a 3-shot autoloader that fires almost as quickly as some tanks will aim and fire once. So you're tempted to sit there in front of the enemy and get the 3 shots out. Problem is that a lot of the enemy tanks at tier 5 and 6 have the DPM to shoot you twice while you're doing it, which is the bane of this tank. So you're tempted to get the 3 shots out, not necessarily always when it's the appropriate thing to do. However, if you do get the 3 shots out and you can do this consistently and successfully, penetration is a bit on the low side, but then this tank can really rack it up. And so at top tier, it's actually quite glorious, really. In fact, I think the VK2801 is pretty good top tier as well. The other thing I find actually with the light tanks, or with tanks in general at the moment, is that a lot of the light tank players are complete YOLO merchants, in that it doesn't matter what tank you're driving, these guys will just charge over the top of the hill and attack you. And with tanks like the TP, not the TP, but the Skoda T25 and the light tanks, the VK2801, is that by the time you're finished with that gunfight, you've actually got very little hit points left. Although now with the 3-shot autoloader on this thing, it's probably a lot more dangerous in that particular situation. But I am getting a lot of matches where I'm bottom tier as well, and this thing's okay bottom tier, you just got to be careful with it. The Polish tank, as I said, the 40 TP, I need to consider a lot more carefully. I need to think of it as if I was driving a Toggle or an AT-15 or something like that. You know, where exactly do I need to go to get the gun in operation early in the game? And of course, I'm going to have to run these tanks a lot longer than we're now heading into the point, like, where we're going to have to run these tanks for quite some time, because I want to. The score to elite them is actually it's reasonable enough, so it's 57,000, I think. And I'm a good way there in the VK26280 one already. But I want to get the crews also fully trained up, so that when I move on to the next tank, I'm both overtrained and fully trained in the current skills. Now I can see myself doing it in this tank, in the T25, and in the VK2801. However, I can see myself switching the Polish crew over to the Poodle for the completion of their training. It's just not that much fun. So here we are, driven around a good chunk of the map, and this baby has put away 1,000 points of damage. Just need to make sure this doesn't shoot back at me. And there he goes. And if I was a bit more circumspect, I could probably have gotten a few more points of damage into it as well. But I did trade fairly aggressively for hit points at the start. So, final result. 4 kills, 1100 damage. Not a lot of assisted damage. But then it was that kind of a game too. Got the usual bunch of, ops. And we came number 2 by experience. The Absolution coming number 1. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really would like to hear your comments, particularly on the question that I asked at the beginning of the video, or the questions that I asked at the beginning of the video. And please share the video. It really helps the channel out. If you've not already done so, please subscribe. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.